People seem to like when I talk about my dating experiences. And I like to hear other people's dating experiences too, so maybe I'll ramble a little bit about that. But I mean, I don't have extremely interesting things to say, but maybe just in general. And I'll be knitting. I'm going to be knitting this cotton sweater. I'll try to snap my gum. It's hard because lately, since I had some cavities filled and my teeth were fixed, I've been having trouble snapping like I used to. But I'll try once I get the gum chewed up. But anyway, well, I'm going to just start out with one thing that just happened to me on eHarmony. I'm assuming most of you have seen my previous videos, so I'll try not to repeat all my stories, but I did mention, I think, in a past video that on eHarmony, I'm not really making a lot of effort. Let me get this started. I think I'm on the pearl. Wait a minute. Here we go. I'm on the pearl side. These circular needles confuse me. This is the first time I'm using a circular needle. I usually use just the 2 needles. Okay. Because if you're not careful, you might hook your piece together in a circle, which is fine if that's what you want, like if you're making a hat. But if you want to make just a rectangle. Okay, let me get comfortable here. And I'm not showing my face because I tried to fix my skin. Should I even... I tried to fix my skin yesterday. I got this chemical stuff from the pharmacy to do a chemical peel. I mean, not a harsh chemical peel, supposedly, but apparently I'm a little sensitive, so my face is all red. It looks terrible. And it hurts. Okay, so anyway, what happened to me yesterday, I'll tell you, on eHarmony. Well, it didn't happen. It's been a thing that happened a few months ago, and then it was continued yesterday. So I'll start. A few months ago, I got a message on eHarmony. Well, I guess it had to do with my profile. Okay, I guess I hope I don't lose viewers by saying what I'm about to say, but I'm somewhat of a conservative. I'm politically, I'm middle of the road, like most people. I think most people are middle of the road, but you usually lean one way or the other. So I lean conservative on a lot of issues. Not all of them, actually. On some issues, I'm more on the left. But anyway, I don't want to get into which ones I'm in on the left and which ones I'm on the right. But anyway, for the most part, my views are middle of the road, leaning right, leaning conservative. So in my profile, I put, you know, looking for a man that's like this, like that, describing more or less what I like. And I also put in there, I would prefer, and I put it in my profile because of my experience in the past. I just happen to, on dates, I happen to get along better with men who are more along my political views. So I put in my profile, not completely discarding liberals, but saying that I would prefer a gentleman who leans, you know, conservative. Perhaps it would depend on the issues, but for the most part, I would prefer a gentleman who has conservative views politically. So fine, you know. So the people who responded were usually middle of the road to conservative. And actually the ones that were very, very conservative, I also don't get along with. The ones that, oops, the yarn. Because if they're too conservative, oh, jeez. Oh, my God. Okay. I'll probably have to edit that out. Okay. Oh, it's hot in here. Oh, I have so many problems. I think I'm going through menopause. I get really hot all of a sudden. I mean, I keep using the excuse, oh, it's because I live in Florida, it's hot out, but I find that when I laugh, I suddenly get this burst of heat. So I don't know if that's menopause or what it is, but okay. Anyway, where was I? Okay, I'm trying to be ASMR here. All right, calm down. Okay, so for the most part, the ones who responded would be more or less what I described. You know, I tried to be accurate in what my description. Okay, but one day I got an email from someone, and the email was kind of like, sort of looking for picking a fight with me. Kind of like saying, hey, well, what views, but, you know, it was the tone of the email that I took as sort of like someone picking a fight with me. It was a guy who wrote to me from eHarmony. Sort of like, well, what views, I don't even remember what the email said because it's gone now. It's sort of like that, like what would you consider too liberal or something like that. So I responded politely, just that, well, these are my views, this is how I feel, and, you know, not telling him I completely discarded him if he was interested and wanted to ask me out, but I was just letting him know up front which views I felt more strongly about. And, you know, that's what you're on the site for, to weed out, you know, people that you're not compatible with before you go to all the trouble of meeting them and everything. So then he responded back kind of snooty. You know, the whole thing was snooty from beginning to end, the 2 or 3 emails. It was like 2 emails. It was his email to me, my email to him, and then his email saying, oh, well, you're like this and you're unreasonable and you're like that, and it's obviously not a match. And, you know, so that was the end of that. And then when I looked, he had blocked me. Not that I even cared, you know. Obviously, it's not the kind of man I would want to meet. Is he going to judge me? You know, I wasn't judging him for having his views, so why, you know, I would just expect it. If you don't like my views, that's fine. Then let's not waste time and try to date. So, but it kind of left me with a bad taste in my mouth. I said, gee, he really didn't even bother to want to get to know me or whatever. But that's fine. I mean, it was over with. So that was several months ago. And yesterday, I got the 5 questions from the same guy. The guy that had, you know, told me, oh, obviously we're not a match and all this stuff. So I was like, what the heck? You know, I got a little annoyed. I was like, what the heck does he want? You know? So I responded again very politely. I mean, already from the first correspondence we'd had, and his picture, he wasn't particularly attractive either, so like maybe if he would have been drop dead gorgeous I might have reconsidered. But so I jumped straight to email. I didn't bother answering his questions because you gotta answer the questions and you gotta go through you go through all these steps, and then you finally, or you can just skip to the email. So I skipped straight to email because I wasn't gonna go through the whole rigmarole. And I wrote something like, and then the emails disappear when the person blocks you, all the emails between you disappear and everything. So I wrote to him basically, you know, hello, I don't know if you remember, but we had decided several months ago that we're not compatible because of my political views, blah, blah, blah. I reiterated 2 or 3, you know, listing, just a very short list, 2 or 3 issues that I had brought up that he apparently didn't like. And so just kind of reminding him, because it could be that he's been clicking on zillions of women and, you know, poor guy can't remember who he clicked on before or whatever. Although, if he blocked me, that's what confused me, because if he blocked me, there would be no reason for him to, because he did block me back then, I checked. There would be no reason for him to run into me ever again on that website. So he must have actually gone to the trouble of unblocking me to write to me. That's the only thing I could think of. So, but I acted like I didn't realize that, and I said, I don't know if you remember, but, you know, this happened a few months ago, and etc. And then that's that, and suddenly I was blocked again. So, I don't know, it's just weird. Or maybe he didn't block me, I don't know. I'm thinking, because it would be dumb for him to treat me that way and then expect that I'm gonna, you know. So it was weird. The guy was kind of geeky looking. He lives near here, like maybe half hour from here. You know, and I was actually thinking, again, on the email that I wrote to him, I wasn't completely discarding him, but I was letting him know, just in case you don't remember, we had decided that we're not compatible. Actually, he had decided we were not compatible. I was being nice, telling him that we decided, but he decided. So, oh shoot, that messed up. Wait a minute, I gotta fix it. I'm gonna try to snap my gum. So that was that. But I was leaving it open to him to maybe say, oh, well, maybe I had judged you too harshly, maybe we could try, and then I probably would have, whatever, maybe met him. I still don't think it would have worked out, because I usually end up having a little argument with people when their views are too different from mine. Or I don't argue, with men, I don't really argue that much if there's not a romantic interest, but if there's a romantic interest, I do, because you can't live with someone who thinks that differently from you. You can be friends with someone who thinks very differently with you, because you end up, later on you go home and, you get a breather from each other. But with a romantic, someone who you end up hopefully having a relationship with, you can't be that different on the political views if you feel strongly about them. Oh, it's all tangled up. I hate these circular needles. Sometimes it'll fix when I get through here. Okay, so I like them and I don't. I like them because you can see how big your piece of work is. But if you get twisted up, sometimes you gotta go through the whole roll before you untwist it. So that was that. I'll turn the air off now. I've pulled off. But and I did a video once where I talked about a few dates that I had been on, and I ended up setting it to private, because for some reason I felt a little TMI, too much information. At the time, I thought it was too much information, but now I'm thinking maybe I could make it unprivate. That's what I'll do instead of repeating everything, because yeah, but they all turned out pretty bad. And then the guy, another kind of sad for me, kind of frustrating thing, that guy that friended me on Facebook that I went out with like 2 or 3 times, that we liked each other, and I just wrote him the other day, because after many months we hadn't seen each other. He sent me a Facebook request and that was it. Nothing else became of it. We were just friends on Facebook, and we've been friends on Facebook for, I don't know, probably several months now, and nothing has come of it. My father's doing work. He's clumping all over the house. Anyway, I wrote to him a few days ago. Because I'm thinking, okay, it's been several months. We are friends on Facebook. He lives not too far from here. Why not just write to him and suggest we meet for lunch sometime? Just like on a casual. Obviously, I was interested in something more, but... And he responded, oh, that would be nice in other circumstances, but I'm dating someone now, and we've been dating for about 2 months. It hasn't been that long, but, apparently he's found someone, so at least for the time being, he's, which is silly because he could still have lunch with me. But anyway, the only reason I would have wanted to have lunch with him is because I would have hoped that something would come of it. So I guess it was right of him to turn me down. But so I'm kind of, I'm liking the idea of making more money. I guess I'm making, not a lot, but I guess it's a nice chunk by now because I got a lot of videos up. Plus I have my blog, and I get some, if people click on the ads in my blog, then I also get Google ad money, AdSense. I don't know, I'd like to get a nice chunk coming in on a regular basis, but not to live on. I don't think I'll ever get to the point where I can live on my AdSense, unless I really went all out. And I don't think I could do it with sewing, though. I mean, I'd have to do some amazing show that a lot of people want to watch. I don't think sewing, even in the whole entire world, I don't think I could get rich off sewing videos. I could make them in different languages. Maybe I've done a few in Spanish, and that's it. I mean, actually, I don't speak other languages. I kind of know a little French. I mean, I majored in French in college, so I should be able to do French. But, well, maybe I will. Maybe I'll try doing a French one. See how I pull that off. But I don't know any other languages, so I could maybe hire a Chinese girl or something who knows how Chinese, and have her translate, or just dub over my, like I would be me talk, in the video, but then have her do a voiceover. That would be kind of cool, seeing myself speak Chinese. I'll put a link below. Maybe you're interested in watching my sewing videos. They're not soft spoken. I keep meaning to do a soft spoken sewing video on my other channel, just to see how people enjoy that. I can always talk about, I mean, that's like, I always have something to talk about when it comes to men, either how miserable I am, or how I just met someone, or, how things didn't work out. Or so, funniest date of all the dates that I went on, from Match.com and all the dating sites that I tried, was this one guy that I actually liked. We met. I thought he was handsome. I mean, he was okay. He actually wasn't that handsome. When I first saw him, I was like, ew. But then he started talking, and he had sort of a ruggedness about him, the way he talked, that I liked. It was kind of a rough voice. It was manly voice and rough, and because he was a short guy, as short as me. I mean, he was my height. Maybe I was wearing low heels, but if he was taller than me, he was barely taller than me. He was really short, but he was tough, sort of a Joe Pesci type. So once he started talking, I found myself attracted to him, because he was kind of rough around the edges and kind of tough guy. So his arm was a little bit paralyzed too. And so I was like, and he had a scar. You could see like a scar on his hand, and he could not move his hand very well. So I was like, I wonder what happened, or maybe he was born like that. But because there was a scar, I figured he must have had an accident or something. But just a really tough guy. So I asked him, at one point, because we actually went out like 2 or 3 times. But the first time we went out, I didn't ask him about his hand. But here's what happened the first time we went out. So we went somewhere to have like some Mexican food. It was nice. We talked, very pleasant conversation. I found myself kind of really drawn to him. And so after the meal, I wanted to go to dessert somewhere, because I wanted to stay with, I wanted to keep hanging out with him because I liked him. And I figured, okay, we didn't have dessert at the restaurant, so I thought to myself, well, this is a way I can tell if he likes me or not. I'll suggest we go somewhere and get a dessert. And, if he says, yeah, that's a great idea, it could be, it doesn't mean for sure, but it could be that it means he likes me. So I was really, when you really want something to be true, you kind of look for signs that it is true, even if it's not. So I said to him, hey, oh, that was great, thanks. Why don't we go over to Starbucks and get a coffee and some dessert? And he responded, well, I really can't. I've got to get somewhere right now, so I really can't. So immediately I said, okay, he's not interested, because he is looking for an excuse to go away. So as I was just kind of accepting that he didn't like me, he says, do you burn? And I thought to myself, yay, he's going to invite me to the beach tomorrow. Because I live in Florida, as you know, we're near the beach. If he asked me if I burned, the only thing that occurred to me was that he was worried about my skin, that I could burn, and he wants to make sure I can go to the beach. So, so I say to him, oh, yes, I do, but it's okay. I can get suntan lotion. And he just looked at me like, what the heck are you talking about? And, so I was waiting for him to say the next logical line would be, okay, well, I'll pick you up tomorrow at such and such a time to go to the beach. And he says to me, no, do you smoke marijuana? Because I got to go somewhere now and get some. So I said, oh, it kind of caught me. I mean, I'm really kind of a prude, and I know that a lot of people say marijuana is no big deal and etc. But I actually don't smoke marijuana personally, so it was kind of an awkward moment. I said, oh well, no, I have to go home. I was a little bit taken aback at first. I'm still chewing my gum, I forget. And so he said, okay, see you later, I got to get going, because I guess he was going to buy the marijuana. And so I went home, and I thought to myself, even though that happened, I still kind of liked him, and I was hoping he would call again. So he did call again, and we went out another, like 2 times actually, but it just wasn't going to work. And he actually stopped calling when he realized that I wouldn't, because the second time we went out, he again, smoked marijuana, and it's not me. I'm not judging anyone who does smoke marijuana, but it's not me. And actually, if he would have kept calling me, I probably still would have gone out with him, even though I wouldn't have smoked marijuana with him and all that. But I mean, I've tried marijuana. It's not, I'm not saying I'm like whatever, but I tried it many years ago, and I didn't do anything for me. And I figured, why get into it if the first time I tried it, I didn't really feel anything. Maybe I wasn't doing it right or something. But I said, why get hooked on something, or why start to do something that I don't really need? I know some people do need it, but so I just didn't see any reason to pursue it. And then it would cost extra money, and I'm always worried about spending money. So you gotta, even if you can get it cheap, it's still money that you could be spending elsewhere. So it's, my point is, I wasn't judging him for smoking marijuana. I probably would have still dated him and let him smoke marijuana, and I just would have not, smoked it. But he stopped calling, and I think that's the reason. I think he really wanted someone who would partake with him, and it seemed to be very important to him. So anyway, so that was how that one ended. Well, actually, there's more to the story about that, the guy that asked me to go burn, if I burned. Anyway, so after he stopped calling, so we went out maybe 3 times. After he stopped calling, I still was hoping he would call. It was still recent, and I Googled his name. Oh, well, there's more. Okay, so the second time we went out, I asked him what happened to his arm, because I mentioned that I told you that his arm was kind of paralyzed, and I noticed a scar, and he couldn't move his hand very well. So I, at one point, did find the opportunity to say, hey, what's that with your arm? What happened to you? And he said that meant, years ago, because he was an accountant. I mean, stable job, good, upstanding citizen, had a regular, you wouldn't know all this stuff about his past, but apparently he'd gotten into he was doing drugs at a motel with, somewhere, and worse drugs, not marijuana, other drugs. And the police were called. I guess they were causing a bit of a ruckus with all the drug stuff, and so the police called, and there was a shootout, and so apparently he got shot in the arm. It went up. He said it went in through his elbow, and up, like traveled up inside his arm and came out his hand. So maybe, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to think about that. All I'm thinking is he was running away, because how did it go up it went into the back of his elbow? Unless he was holding his arm up. That could be too. I don't know. This is me just expanding upon. He didn't tell me any information. Just the basics, that there was a shootout and he got shot in the arm. So I knew he had, that in his past, but I didn't ask anything more. And then he stopped calling. We went out one more time. He stopped calling. And so after that second thing with the shootout, even though it had happened many years prior, still that also made me a little concerned, that he may have a... So anyway, I Googled his name after he stopped calling me. And I found 2 mugshots. Because, in Florida, pretty much you can just Google someone's name and their mugshot, if they have one, will appear. Now, that doesn't mean they're guilty. A mugshot having a mugshot means you were arrested. It doesn't mean you were guilty. But in his case, the records in Florida are very open. I mean, you can find sort of stuff kind of easily on people. I pursued it a little more just with the Google. I mean, I didn't do any grand searching other than I just put his name into Google, and I did find a prison sentence. So apparently he did some time in prison. I mean, he'd done some stuff. The arrests were for drug-related charges, and so even though it was a while back, it was like over 10 years ago, and then I didn't find anything recent. But even so, I mean, that people change, and apparently he learned his lesson maybe after he went to jail, and so now he is being good, I mean, that was a while ago anyway. I mean, the last time I saw the guy was 2 years ago, so. But the 2 mugshots kind of scared me a little bit, because in one of them he was smiling, I mean, that kind of scares me. When you see people in mugshots, no matter what bad person they are or bad thing they've done, they're usually not... the people smiling in mugshots are really sick. I'm sorry. You at least get serious when you're getting arrested, So, I mean, this showed a completely defiant personality that it's just... And getting arrested for something serious, like, a drug charge, hard drug charge. It wasn't like a minor thing. It was for one of the bad drugs. So, he was smiling in one of them. Actually, the earlier mugshot, he was smiling. In the second mugshot, when he was older, he wasn't smiling. So that's a good sign, too. Okay, as he got older, he realized this isn't fun and games anymore. This is kind of serious. So maybe that's good. But I don't know. A smiling mugshot is just one of the indicators, I think, of someone who's really got a lot of healing to do, or So maybe he did it. Maybe he's fine now, but... Oh, boy. Because I remember when I was little, there was a mugshot in the paper of a local guy. We were up north. I'm not from Florida. I'm from the north. But I remember I was like maybe about 10, and there was a mugshot of a guy in the paper that had just killed his wife. And he was smiling in the mugshot. So... it just kind of indicates sort of a twisted mind, I think, when you're smiling in a mugshot. So don't do that if you're ever arrested, because even if you're not twisted, people are going to think you are. So just try to be serious when you're getting your mugshot taken. That would be my advice to anyone out there who may in the future get arrested. And I think that the police, maybe if you show respect to them, maybe they'll, and the judge and all, you get sometimes a lighter plea deal or something. I've never been arrested, but if I ever do get arrested, I think I'm going to be really, really good, with the policemen and the judge, and respectful, and at least maybe get out on bail or something. So, not that I don't know what I could ever get arrested for, though. The only thing I can imagine ever getting arrested for might be if I were doing a public, what do you call it? When you're protesting something that's unfair, it's called, what is that called? Oh, I forget. Public, what is that? I'm going to have to Google it. Disobedience, civil disobedience. That might be something that I might, if there were ever a cause that I truly believed in enough to get arrested for, it would most likely be a civil disobedience charge where I'm defying the law because I don't think the law is fair. But I don't think I would ever get arrested for anything else because I'm a good